All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are recording live here. What's going to happen is this: we're going to be doing a series of 5 different textures. The tools you're going to need today, you're going to have your sketchbook. I got a little piece of sketchbook paper here. I've got my 4B pencil. You can use just a regular 2B pencil for this as well. That's fine. I usually like to get some of the values a little bit darker. And also check out my blending stone. Okay, or tortillion as they call it. This is kind of nice to have as well, and it works out really good. So if you guys have this on hand, it's not a bad idea to do this. Also, to a little bit of eraser in case I need to kind of clean things up. Okay, so first thing I want to do is this. I like to have things look nice and neat. You know, and you remember we did our values. I had you guys use kind of a cup shape. The other thing too I thought of is this: if you wanted to go kind of the square route, I also have. If I can find it on my desk here. If I can, oh, there it is. A lot of times too, Post-it notes are kind of a nice size too, a nice square shape. So you could go ahead and use this and just trace out the shape of a Post-it. That kind of works out pretty good. But I got the cup handy. So all I'm going to do is this, you guys. I'm just going to go ahead and just trace out my 5 circles. Okay. And like I said, this just kind of makes things contained. They look good. I mean, it's more presentable. Also, too, it's easy for your teacher when they take a look at these, kind of know what I'm looking for. And yeah, it just is kind of pretty much straightforward. Now, I'm using the big side of the cup here. I could have probably done the little side too. That's what I did before. But, you know, that's all right. We can go and kind of do this. Now, if I don't entirely finish up the whole circle with my texture, that doesn't mean that I want you to stop where I did. I want you guys to go ahead and kind of fill this in. A lot of these beginning projects, these beginning assignments in your sketchbook, they are practice, okay? They are things that we'll be utilizing later on. And of course, as you know, or maybe you don't know, the more you practice, guys, the better you're going to get at it. Okay, it's just like anything. And here's the other thing too: you make a mistake, it doesn't look good, you learn from it. You keep kind of moving forward. All right. So the first one we're going to do is going to be scales. Okay. So what I want to do is this: I want to do a series of U shapes when I do these scales. Okay. And when I do these, I keep them pretty big, you guys. It's a little easier to shade them if they're bigger size. I've had kids go in here and make them itty bitty, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's going to take you forever. So I would go ahead and keep it relatively big and get those scale shapes in there. Ooh, look at that. That's looking good, good, good. All right, so we got that. So I've got those in there. Then what I want to do next is this. I'm going to go ahead and think of it this way. This scale is overlapping these scales here. So I want to go ahead and add a shadow underneath the scale, you know, so I got one kind of overlapping the other one. You're going to get kind of a cast shadow. All right, and I want to go ahead and kind of add this. And when I shade this in, you guys, I'm using that technique called scumble, where I'm just going ahead and I'm just putting in a little bit of value in this area. And up through here too, I could add a little bit more value up in the top here, kind of make these look a little bit more three-dimensional. Add some more down through here. And like I said, I'm not going to do them all, but I'm just going to show you guys a few of these. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of value. Then I'm going to take my blending stone. Okay, and it can be dirty. It's perfectly fine. And I'm just going to take that graphite that we have there, okay, and I'm just going to kind of blend it in. Okay, basically smooth it out. But I want the tips of these scales to be light. All right, I want them to be white. So I don't want to have them be too dark all the way down, because I want to gradually go from a lighter to a darker color. Okay, and like I said, the bigger you keep the scales, you guys, the better they look, I think, and also too, it's not as much work. It actually just makes a little more sense, because you don't want to do 80 of these. If you just do 15, that's perfectly fine. Okay, and on the sides, just kind of add a little bit of value through here too. Okay, get the ones on the top, boom, you're good to go. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to do a few of these. You guys are going to go ahead and finish these off. Okay, and that's what we got going on there. So that's going to be your scales to begin with. Okay, we got that. Now the next one, I really like this one. This one has kind of a cool effect. It's going to be those little rocks, or I'll call them bumps, that I have on here too. And I just want to go ahead and put a series of these little kind of rocks in through here. Almost look like little chocolate chips on here too. All right, and you want to pick a light source. Now you can go from either side, but I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and pick a light source over here. We're gonna put a little flashlight over here. Okay. All right, get away from that proverbial sun. All right, we got a flashlight shining down on these little rocks. So what's going to happen is this: on the opposite side of these kind of little circular shapes, once again, I'm going to add a little bit of a scumble. Okay, we'll add a little bit of a scumble. Okay, opposite side, scumble. All right, going to scumble it up, scumble it up. All right, and then same thing as I said before too. You want to go ahead and you want to be a little kind of systematic about this. If you want to do one at a time, that's fine, but it does get a little tedious. But also, I'm just kind of adding the shadows in right now. I'm adding a little bit of the scumble in. Then I'm going to go back over it with the tortilla. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and take this once again, kind of blend this in, and slowly pull a little bit of the graphite closer to the light source so it lightens up a little bit. But what I like to do as well with these is I like to go ahead and take the dirty tortilla, and add a little bit of a cast shadow, right? A little bit of a cast shadow on here. All right, so it looks like we got these little things just kind of rising up on the surface of this bigger circle. Okay, look at that. That's so cool. All right, it is kind of a cool effect. Okay, boom. So I've got this through here. Bam. Okay, I'm just going to finish this one up. And they do. The guys, they don't take terribly long. But like I said, it's not a bad idea to kind of go back, really kind of, try hard to get these down. Yeah, I can go back and kind of darken this up a little bit too. That might kind of stretch out a little bit more kind of the value here, make them look a little bit more three-dimensional. All right, so I can go ahead and do this. Okay. And sometimes too, you guys, oh yeah, you can really see the difference between these and the ones I didn't do that too. It's a little bit harder probably to see a lot of these things on the computer and on the video, but for the most part, I think you guys kind of get the gist of this. All right, so let's kind of cruise along here. I don't want this video to be too long for me. The next one is going to be wood grain. Now, to do wood grain, it's kind of a pattern here for this too. I like to go in and make kind of a big V shape, okay? And you can kind of make the lines a little wavy. Look, they're kind of a little bit wavy. They're not straight. And then I'm going to invert that and put an upside down V shape. So they almost touch, but there's a little space there. And then I'm just going to go in here and repeat this pattern. Okay? Repeat this V shape, repeat the upside down V shape. Okay. Sometimes you can throw in kind of a knot. Sometimes wood have these knots in here too, and that's kind of a cool idea. All right, and I'm kind of pressing down hard. You want to leave a little graphite on the surface. And for shading this, you guys, there's not a lot you really can do for shading this, but I do like to actually take the tortilla and I should say, when I'm on this right side here, I like to kind of pull the value to the right. So wherever I have these shapes, I take this and I just take, and it could be a dirty tortilla too, and just pull a little bit of the value here. And it just gives it a little bit more to kind of visually look at, okay? It does, it looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of add this in through here. All right, I wanna add a little bit more of the value. I got some more graphite on this side, I think. Oh yeah, there we go. There it came off. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of add a little bit more there. And it does, it just, if you ever look at kind of a surface of a cut piece of lumber or something like that, a lot of times too, they'll have those like different kind of values in through there. It won't necessarily be three-dimensional. Sometimes it is, it's worn away. But it creates a little bit more kind of that, I guess, kind of a faux visual texture that you would have. Okay. All right, so that's going to be my wood grain. And this is going to be a technique too that we will be using later on. We do kind of this, I call it interior room drawing, where a lot of times we end up utilizing this on like a wood floor or maybe furniture that you have too. So it is nice to be able to kind of go back and reuse that. Now, the next one is a little bit difficult to do. It's kind of a hair or fur texture. And when you do this, one thing to keep in mind is this. You don't want to necessarily do, here, you don't want to do this, okay? Put in a bunch of lines like this, okay? And just fill in everything, okay? What happens is with hair and fur, a lot of times, especially if it's a little bit longer, it's going to have a little bit more of kind of like a curl to it, okay? All right, so I want to go in here, and I'm creating these little kind of lines that have a little bit more of a curl to them. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Okay. And one thing to keep in mind too is you want areas to be a little bit darker and some areas to be a little bit lighter. All right. And I like to think too, sometimes it looks a little bit like, kind of like the needles on a pine tree. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of do that and finish it up right down through here. Okay. All right, and that should be pretty good. Okay, with hair too, hair and fur, sometimes less is more. You don't necessarily have to fill in the whole area. Okay, but you do want to have some of these areas where it's a little bit darker. You kind of see that, and areas that are a little bit lighter. And sometimes too, it's not a bad idea. I could take a little toilet paper and just kind of go and kind of fill in a little bit of this as well. Sometimes that's kind of nice to kind of give a little bit more value in through there. Okay, so there you go. All right, that's not too shabby. All right, then the last one is kind of your choice. Now I have this. This is actually on Schoology. It's a handout that I created that provides a few extra examples. I got like cactus right here. You can see we did some of these other ones. I got bubbles, leaves. People sometimes do a little bit with the giraffe and also kind of the tiger stripe. It's entirely up to you as far as what you want to do. I mean, you want to go in here, you want to kind of create, like if I do my little leaf, kind of pattern. This one would be very similar to the scales. Okay, and that's perfectly fine where you're going to have kind of bring these down, and where they do overlap is kind of where you're going to be putting your shadow. Okay, but like I said, this is up to you. If you want to come up with your own, that's fine too, but the last one is your choice. Okay, it's your choice. Darn it all. All right, so that is what we have. Then I can go and take the Tertullian, little blending stump. Just going to add a little bit of value in through here. I'm going to add a little bit kind of on the vein of the leaf. Just make these look good. Spend some time. All right. Okay. And that's going to be it. So all 5 of these are going to be in your sketchbook, you guys. And we'll take a look at these when you get them done. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and stop this. Boy. Hold on. I want to go ahead and shut this off. Stop breaker. There we go. All right.